Hi, today I'm going to talk about reparations. We're probably all aware of some of the black nations in the world, black people in general, over in the West Indies, asking for reparations and compensation from the British state for slavery. I'm not going to talk about that ethnic group or their appeal for reparations. Good luck to them as far as I'm concerned, but that's as far as I'll go. I want to talk about reparations and compensation for the British state from my own ethnic group, i.e. the white, indigenous, Catholic population of this country, now a very small minority. So where do I start? Only one place to start. That's 1556. But for now, I'll go back to 1555 and I'll describe to you England as it was as a Catholic country in 1555. England at that time was considered by the Holy See to be the most devoutly Catholic country in the whole of Europe. It was famous for its devotion to the Catholic Church. It was seen as a place that the Virgin Mary, the Queen of Heaven, looked on with great pleasure to see the people and their devotion to her Son, Jesus Christ. But anyway, we'll go up to 1556 now. We all know the story of Henry VIII, wanted a divorce, Vatican wouldn't give him one, got really angry because he was basically mentally unstable. He was a person very vindictive, very nasty in lots of ways. So he decided, F you, I'm going to start my own religion, the English state religion. So that's what he did. While he did this, at the time there were lots of Lutheran influences in England who hated the Catholic Church for one reason or another and saw with Henry VIII the opportunity to make this a Protestant state. Henry VIII didn't really like the idea of Protestantism. He would have preferred to have seen an imitation of the Catholic Church. So bit by bit, he got together with his councillors, the British establishment, and said, we need to make our own faith. How do we go about this? And the answer was to imitate the Catholic Church. So Henry VIII is a very greedy man. He was also skint at the time. He now saw an opportunity to seize all of the Catholic lands, the cathedrals, the monasteries, and make a lot of money. And that's what he set about doing. He sent his people into monastic houses, evicted the nuns and the monks and the priests overnight, kicked them out onto the street, killed lots of them, murdered lots of them, left them destitute. He sacked all the holy places for their treasures, for the gold, the chalices, the crosses, etc., to be melted down to make coin. With this, the people were absolutely perplexed. They couldn't understand what was going on. They were at a loss. For centuries, they had revered the saints, the Catholic saints. They had revered the Virgin Mary. They couldn't understand why this sacrilege and this heinous perversion of their faith was taking place around them. People didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to make of it. They knew nothing of the Protestant faith. They only knew of the Catholic faith. And they clung to it. So the Church of England was told by Henry VIII, or the English state religion at its very formation, that I'm the boss, you do as I say. I don't care about Christ, which he didn't. He cared about money, power, and getting his own way. You'll do as I say. I'll integrate you into the state. You will become more like a civil service to oversee religious needs of the people. Not Christ. I will be the total boss. So that was the formation of the English state religion. So all of these Catholic monastic houses, lots of them were pulled down, some of them were converted into stately homes. People like Thomas Wriothesley, Henry VIII's favourite torture, became extremely wealthy with the former Catholic lands, alongside lots of others who I couldn't be bothered to name, so I'll continue. Meanwhile, the Church of England, in its formation, was kept on a very short chain by the monarch and the establishment, and they were given rules about what they could do. There will be no more communion with the saints, because by this time Henry VIII was excommunicated. There will be no more adoration and veneration of the Virgin Mary, because Henry VIII fought by doing this, by halting the adoration of the saints and the Virgin. The Vatican, somehow, some way, would give in to him. It was never going to happen. Henry VIII never gave up his Catholic faith. When he died, he was a pus-ridden, bloated semi-corpse in sheer agony. He dismissed his Church of England ministers and asked for a Catholic priest to give him the last rites to save him from hell. I doubt that happened. So we have all these dispossessed monks and priests wandering around England without a home. People were charitable towards them. Lots of them were murdered on sight by the royal troops because they were given free license to do so. Lots of them made it to Europe. They took a lot of the holy relics with them. Henry VIII and his associates were not able to get hold of. Some of them are still over there now. So the Church of England steps in. They're in charge now, but on a very short lease to the state, and they begin to occupy the Catholic, the great and most beautiful, some of them in Europe, Catholic cathedrals in England and some parts of Scotland. First thing they do when they go in, they strip out the statues to the saints, they strip out the shrines to the Virgin Mary, the Queen of Heaven. If you went into an English cathedral when it was a Catholic cathedral, you would be totally amazed to what you see now. Every inch of every wall would be painted in murals. There would be tapestries hanging on the walls. There would be statues of the saints. There would be the smell of incense. There would be constant masses in Latin. You wouldn't recognize them. But what are they now? Let's talk about the modern day appearance of the English cathedrals. They're like warehouses, nothing in them. They're more like a Freemason's lodge than a place dedicated to Christ. Freemasons hold their meetings in these Church of England occupied cathedrals. And when we think of the ordinary people, the peasantry at the time, and I won't call it the dissolution of the monasteries, that's an English state religion term. There was no dissolution. It was the rape, the murder, the pillage, the sacrilege, and the vile, heinous acts of inhumanity by the English state. And that's what it was all about. It was murder, pillage. Henry VIII could not give a you-know-what about the Church of England. He wanted money, and he saw an opportunity to make money. And I'm not his judge. You can pretty much guess what happened to him. So the peasants, when the monasteries went, when the Catholic Church went, they lost everything. The monasteries and the holy places under the Catholic Church in England were the providers of social security for the poor. They were also places where they could receive, or the peasantry could receive, medical treatment. The Catholic Church also educated the sons, the intelligent sons of peasants. They gave them a chance to learn to read and write. They gave the opportunity to be educated, unlike the COE, who've always made up their numbers from the idiot sons of English gentry. The people were shell-shocked. It's so sad. It's so sad. They could be whipped for even mentioning the Virgin Mary or making an appeal to a Catholic saint. The religious fervour of the Lutherans, who started the Church of England, they were cruel. They were cruel to the people. They murdered them basically for even having sympathy for the fate of the Catholic clerics who were cast out of the monasteries. So do we want compensation? Of course we do. If the black people are going to get it, the white Catholic minority in this country should be entitled to it. Why not? Our case is as good as theirs. We were a persecuted minority in this country for centuries, a lot longer than the black people in this country. If one can get it, why not another? Thank you.